Hey, Pixie. Come here, baby.
This phone call sponsored by GoDaddy.com.
Come here, baby.
This phone call sponsored by GoDaddy.com.
Come on.
This phone call sponsored by GoDaddy.
This is Chris. And that is not going to work. Hey, baby. Come here. There you go.
This phone call sponsored by GoDaddy.com.
Let's try it again.
This phone call sponsored by GoDaddy.com.
This is Chris.
Hi.
Hey.
This is Charles.
Hey, Charles.
How you doing?
Doing well.
Wow, I'm surprised I'm actually talking. Anyway.
Wait, you're surprised you're actually talking or talking here?
Like, talking instead of pressing redial.
Oh, yes. Just making sure how
um,
to make that clarification.
Well, that's awesome. So, I just wanted to say that I loved Windows Vista.
Really?
I may have been the only person in all of my town and all of my state that loved Vista, but I loved it.
Why?
And,
Why did you love Vista? Why are you not afraid to admit this in public?
Well, because it worked for me.
Okay.
It may not have worked for everybody else, but it worked great for me.
Do you realize you're the only person on the planet who said this? It really only worked for you. I kid you not. I talked to some of my non-geek friends, and I do have them, and they don't know my biases. In meeting for the first time, and every one of them says, "Oh yeah, Vista was horrible." Like every one of them. And it wasn't because of the reviews; it's because of their experience. They said I wasted so much time, so much money on Windows Vista. It was one of the worst things to happen to Microsoft in a number of years. One of the worst things. You know, the second worst thing to ever to happen to Microsoft in recent years?
What's that?
Take a guess. I'm going to let you guess.
Well, I want to say Millennium Edition, but that
No,
was recent.
it's not something that Microsoft did.
I'm not sure.
What has been the most sought after gadget of recent years?
Probably the iPod.
Or the... Keep going.
iPhone.
Exactly. The iPhone was one of the worst things to happen to Microsoft. One of the worst things. Unfortunately, it just made their lackluster product design look even worse. And that, unfortunately, was, the world of Windows Vista. It was lackluster at best. I mean, they made incremental improvements, but in doing so, ruined a lot in the process. And some would argue that Vista had to happen in order for 7 to come to fruition. But, it's good that you didn't have any problems with Windows Vista. But I would go as far as to say you are probably the only person I've ever spoken with outside of someone at Microsoft, and even some of them will admit that Vista was not fully baked. I'm not going to name any names. I don't want to get anybody fired.
Well, another thing that a lot of people had that a lot of people disliked about Vista was they had like 5 or something different versions of Vista. And I actually really liked that because there are some things that I don't want to pay for that I'm never going to use.
Yeah, but that's confusing.
Like BitLocker.
BitLocker and the multiple languages are a part of Ultimate Edition. Like, since when was language support an Ultimate feature? And that to me is asinine. Like, it's beyond asinine. That should be a core feature of the operating system.
I agree.
I don't know why. I could tell you why they made that decision to drive sales. I completely disagree with them using that as a value add to a Windows quote-unquote Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
I've seen, it was difficult enough to separate Home from Pro with XP, but then when you went to the different SKUs of Windows Vista, it created even more confusion in the marketplace. And, they did the same thing with 7, which is just, well, that's the only the problem is that Microsoft is expecting that most people won't care, or they're just going to buy the most that they can buy. Like if you were given a choice between a low-end version of Windows and a high-end version of Windows, even if you weren't going to use all those features, psychologically speaking, you want the best. Everyone wants the best. And sometimes you're going to pay extra money for features that you're just not going to use.
Yeah.
It's like as many Linux distributions that are out there. It's confusing to know which one is going to work for you. And you don't really have the time, patience, or energy to make the wrong decision. I don't know. I think Microsoft could have done this differently. They could have done it dramatically differently.
Well, I don't think there really are that many differences between the different versions of Vista. It's just a couple different slight changes.
Certainly, they're geared towards different users, and most people are just going to play on what's there on average, but it also makes it somewhat more difficult to troubleshoot. Say, you're dealing with a version of 7 or Vista that has a particular feature or doesn't have a particular feature. Sometimes it's not easy to ascertain right up front. Which is, I'm very grateful that, one of our sponsors, Go to Assist from Citrix, I think it's go.tagjag.com/GTA. They've got that remote tool that allows you to pull in statistics about the computer so you can find out the version of the operating system without having to ask the user. Because try to ask somebody what version of Windows Vista they have, and they'll say 2007. That is not a possibility.
Yeah.
The approach is not very consumer friendly at all. At all. Microsoft's just not a consumer friendly company, and it's kind of disappointing. But then again, they rely on partners differently in this ecosystem, to use another word that they use. It's up to them to make technology more friendly, and hopefully 7 will spur PC sales. Certainly, I would go as far as to say that Vista did not help sales any. I think I certainly have not been hot to recommend any new PC just because it would have Vista, except the one person on the planet who apparently did not have an issue with it.
Well, I loved it. I loved all of their, and I understand that it's very, you need a lot of resources. It takes a lot of RAM and everything, but I have a lot of RAM and it worked great for me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you don't. You probably take an approach or philosophy. It's just good enough.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then I'm sure Vista fits you just fine.
Well, I'm real excited about Windows 7. I should be getting it here in the next couple weeks. They're shipping me one.
Oh, cool. I think we got coupons for it. Hopefully you at least saved money before you bought.
Well, I got it free because I bought a Vista computer.
Yeah. See, that's what I've argued. They should give 7 free to any user of Vista.
I kind of agree because it doesn't seem like too much of a change other than the...
Well, they've made it more stable. They've been developing it, for, a good cycle. So they've been able to make 7 what Vista should have been. And that's not to say that Vista was amazing or that 7 is amazing. I think Windows is getting, it's getting a bit long in the tooth. It needs to be redone. It needs to be reinvented, kind of like the difference between Windows 3.1 or I should say Windows 3 and then Windows 95. Dramatic difference. Dramatic. And we're still playing with elements of Windows 95 inside of Windows. It's just not. It's getting long in the tooth. It's getting old.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, it's getting better, kind of, but we're still dealing with a lot of DLL hell, uninstallation problems, software conflicts. I mean, some things they just don't seem to be disappearing, despite the way that Windows is aging. It's not getting wiser in its age. It just gets more hacks and shims. It's getting a bit rickety.
Well, not if you have the right software. All of my stuff works great. My virus software protects me great, and I never have any problems. I've never gotten a virus, or well, I have had one, but it was relatively easy to get rid of.
Yeah. I put 7 on the HP Touch Smart PC. Good piece of hardware. Don't really have any software on it. Just in getting her going in the past, well, I guess it was last night, 2 BSODs, 2 blue screens on a fresh
Wow.
install of Windows 7. Ultimate. So they were ultimate blue screens.
Wow. That's not good. Well, I luckily have never experienced the blue screen of death, but, and I hope it doesn't happen.
Do you not do anything with your computer? I don't know anybody on the planet who's been A, happy with Vista, or B, never had a blue screen of death.
Well, I'm really kind of just a basic user. You know, I use my computer for Facebook and YouTube.
See,
And,
then you right.
email.
Then you, but you could see what I'm saying is with that. If you're just doing that, all you need is a web browser. It's not Windows that you know. You don't need Windows. People don't need Windows.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
telling me
I
what
also do
you're
some-
telling me is you need a web browser. You don't need Windows.
I mean, I do some minor gaming every once in a while, but I mean, you know, I also have my school projects and all that stuff that I use Microsoft Office for and stuff. I use Movie Maker to do occasional projects, or a Windows Live Movie Maker, not the Windows
Or whatever
Movie
they're
Maker.
calling it these days. Sure.
So, I don't know. I was just real pleased with Vista, even though I am really excited about Windows 7. When I get it, I'll be happy to upgrade.
I think a lot of Vista users are saying the same thing.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you later.
Yeah.
See you
Yeah.
on your webpage.
Online.
All right.
All right. Take care.
See you later.
Bye.